Boy, can I help you?
Listen up. I'm bringing you the best content to ever exist in the door-to-door industry, from sales, leadership, recruiting, and personal development.
Well, why would I need that?
Because never before have we been able to collaborate with the top experts in their industries, sharing their secrets and techniques on what makes them the best.
Wait, who are you?
I'm your host, Sam Taggart, creator of the DDD Experts and DDD Con. Is there a place we can sit down?
Well, come on in.
All right, this is Sam Taggart, and I'm here with Bryce Jones. He is one of the top Vivint solar reps in the entire company for the last, 5 years? Ever since you've been there, you've been a top performer. And he has been at Vivint for 10 years. He's probably one of the best and most known door knockers out there in the solar space. And we're actually sitting here in his 8,000 square foot home. It's in the parade of homes. It's super awesome. It's got like sweet exercise room, and walkout decks, and accordion doors, and movie theater room, and pool table, and it's super awesome. So today what we're going to be talking on is consistency and how you stay motivated, right? Because as a solar rep, you're just kind of a one-man band, but you're part of a team. But it's how do you stay self-driven, and then how do you work your area, right? Like a lot of people have bigger sales like roofing or solar or windows and stuff like that. It's like, how do you stick in one area, milk it, manage it the right way? And that's what we're going to be mainly focusing on today. All right, so welcome to the show, Bryce.
Thanks for having
super
me.
excited to have you on.
Glad I could host you here.
I know. I literally yesterday I come to your house for Parade of Home. I'm like, this is cool. So tell me a little bit about your story of how you got into door to door. I actually just met Strong. So
okay.
So that was kind of cool. We just happened to be here. I'm like, we were just talking about you. So tell me a little bit about that.
Kind of interesting. So when I was 18, didn't know what I wanted to do with school, right? And not that there's anything wrong with going to school or anything like that. I was just doing not telemarketing, but a phone job with Vivint. Okay. Saw an ad in the newspaper, it kind of dates me, I feel, which I didn't feel like I was that old, but newspaper ad, that's how I got the job, that's how they advertised. And I was doing scheduling for all the technicians, right? So anytime someone sold an alarm job like yourself, and it needed a fix or someone to send back from the summer team, I was the go-to guy to manage all the schedules. So anyways, in 2008, when they did, I think where a lot of companies were having a hard time, they did a layoff, and certain departments would share employees just to make sure everyone was busy. And one day it was towards the end of the summer, like, hey, can you fill these envelopes with these pieces of paper, right? Make sure the name matches the address and get it sent out, and it was everyone's back-end checks. So
that's risky giving that eyes into the back end.
I didn't know what I was looking at. They're like, put this here, this is how it matches. And anyways, so I'm going through and I'm like, wait, this guy's making $1 million+ like for 3 months? Like, that's crazy. This guy made $30,000, and there's a huge disparity, which I didn't understand, but got me super intrigued as far as just commission sales. And I actually went from, doing the phone calls with that, got into retention. So anytime someone had an issue with an account, someone needed to be saved, right? I was the go-to guy, would handle all those calls, and I decided, hey, I think I want to do this whole door-to-door gig. That's where I met Jeff Strong. So he was my first manager. I stuck with him basically the entire industry from alarms to solar, and he recruited me out, did a little preseason, did well, made 3 accounts, right? Thought I was on top of the world, that I was going to conquer everything. And went from a salary commission job with only a few $100 in my bank account. Went from having a place from here that I needed to rent out, or still rent, and flew out to Hawaii for my first summer, which is I think kind of what sold me on going, because it's a little back and forth.
Yeah, you're like, sweet, I get a bank.
But literally it was paying rent there, paying rent here, and didn't have enough money to fly back if I needed to if it didn't go well, which I didn't think about at the time. But yeah, I ended up working out, and I think I funded like 140 accounts my first summer.
Right, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people would complain about the Hawaii market, and that it was tough, or the local companies were very cutthroat. I didn't know what to compare it to, so I was just like, all right, let's just work, And I kind of had to because I didn't have a way home. And I wasn't going to stay in Hawaii forever, right? And yeah, that's how I actually got into the industry. So kind of got a little curious by seeing everyone's paychecks.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I can't remember if I ever saw yours, but I'm sure yours was one of them. You know? So
that's really cool. So so tell us a little bit about, was it hard, I guess like that first, you did 140 your first year, so obviously you did really well, but like, what do you contribute that to? Like the studying, like what did you do to kind of have that breakout first year, you know, where some people struggle?
So I was in the Browns region, Jason Brown, and I kind of like, I don't know, like I did my preseason, sold a couple accounts here and there, and I don't know if it was just maybe a gimmick that he said. He's like, statistics show if you do this, then this is the result, right? This is what people do as far as the first preseason. This is what they should sell in the summer. And he's like, you should sell 175. I was like, okay, you know, I didn't know any different, right? And so I just like, I don't know, it's just like your thoughts, your ideas are physical, you know, in the universe.
Yes.
And I kind of just felt like, okay, that's just what it is. That's what I should do. And I kind of held myself to that standard going into it, right?
Yes,
So,
I mean, and that also has something to do with leadership in a sense. Like,
yeah.
Put yourself in Jason Brown's shoes.
Yeah.
By him saying, okay, statistically you should do this, like how that helped you just have a standard for yourself.
Yeah.
And you're now managing team, obviously, and you help run guys, incentivize guys. Like, I mean, apply that to maybe. I don't know, let's talk on that for a second. I think that's important to recognize for sure good for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the simplest thing, but I think I was a little naive. I don't want to say like gullible or anything like that, because you know, going out your first summer and hitting 140 or even 175 as like a goal is, you know, kind of high. I didn't know. It's just like I just thought that was the standard. But I mean, as far as just relating it to managing now, is that
like how as a leader can we do that for our people? Like really just kind of set the standard for them and like not let there be any other option. Like it, you know what I mean? Almost instill the goalableness into your people.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, no one's going to follow a leader that's the type of manager that's behind the desk, right? That's just telling everyone like what to do without doing it himself or without have done it himself, right? And so, you know, I know the Browns did really well, you know, as they were, you know, progressing through their leadership, and they had summers where they did really well. And Scott had I'm sure you know Scott, right? So I remember he went to, I think, Alaska or something like that. I may be getting some of these stories wrong, where he didn't sell anything for a few like his first month, and then all of a sudden he blew out with, you know, 150, 175 accounts or something. If I got the numbers wrong, I apologize, but he did well, right? And so I just kind of followed their example. You know, listened to my leaders. You know, took everything that they said seriously. I've learned that now managing. I'll tell people like, hey, like treat this like the Bible, and they don't. And those are always the ones that don't necessarily figure it out. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so, you know, studying, understanding your pitch. You know, I was rehearsing my pitch, you know, in the shower, you know, in the morning, you know, to my area, in my head. I'd call my mom, does this make sense? You know? And just took everything seriously. So it was second nature to myself as far as pitching and, you know, just always being out on the doors and just, you know, sharpening my axe that way.
Yeah. So let's kind of fast forward. You got into solar, you've consistently been one of the top reps. You've done over 700 installs, which anybody that's been in solar, that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot of installs.
Right.
Do you know how many megawatts that is?
I'm just under 5 megawatts.
That's insane. Personally installed. So I guess my question would be, how do you consistently year after year be a top performer where you're always throwing in megawatts every year? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, one of the questions that I've got consistently from guys is like, how do you like not get burnt out?
Yeah, exactly.
You're doing this year round, right? Like, how do you get yourself to do it? And I'm like, well, you know, the first thing that you're probably doing wrong is you're thinking about it. Yeah. Like, the second you think about it, you're done, right? Because you have to make a decision. Am I not? I'm going to go later. Am I just going to do it tomorrow? You know what I mean? You start contemplating all those ideas, and that's what actually affects it, right? And so the thing is, you have to make it a habit, right? So there's a couple things that I've done to make this a habit to where when 12 o'clock rolls around and I need to get to area, or 11 o'clock, whatever I have set on that day, I've got management and other things and other responsibilities that I do, is I've got right on my phone, it has an alarm, right? It says, go knock doors. You got an hour to get to area, right? And you make sure you go through those habits to where you're not thinking about it. Like when you wake up, you brush your teeth without thinking about it. And you need to get to the same situation where it's 12 o'clock, you're kind of got an anxiety like, hey, I'm not where I'm supposed to be. I should be in area, right? And so having that consistency where you're putting one in the hours, right, is going to have everything else follow and be put into place as far as hitting the numbers that I've hit, And so every single year that I've worked, I've done anywhere from 140 accounts, 140, 145, I think is the lowest, to 175 in a year. And so, so I've been pretty consistent, but I've also had the same habits and the same hours and the same routine, which gets you the same results, right? You don't go to the gym and, get buff all of a sudden, right? No one does. And it's the same concept, right? And some of the the more simple things that we can do that can get larger results than what we really think can actually happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So what is your routine?
So my routine is pretty simple. As far as getting up at, I'm not an early riser. I usually get up around 7, 8 o'clock. I do account management, prep what I'm going to go over as far as the meetings, look at where we're at for the week. I'm usually running over numbers. But I usually try to get a game plan when I'm going into area, so that way once I get there, I'm not having to think, about what I need to do. That time is money, right?
Yeah.
And so as soon as I get into area, I generally have an idea on where I want to knock, right? I know my week, I know my installs, I know my site surveys, so that way I can create warmer leads out of situations rather than like I get to area and the hardest work is getting out of your hardware, right?
Yeah.
Which street am I going to knock? And you start to play these mind games that just procrastinate or create situations that happen, right? So as far as I have my daily routines, I've got everything in the calendar, and I've created a situation where I don't think about knocking, I just do it.
You just do it, and I think that's so important to like you said, because the more you think about it, the more anxiety it creeps in. Because literally, I went out yesterday and I was consulting this company here in Utah, and I had knocked for a minute, and it was almost like the night before. I'm like getting like tense, and then the morning of, I'm like, I really have to go, and I'm only going out for a few hours. It's not even a full day, and I'm like, I teach door knocking, and I still like have this anxiety because I was thinking so much about it, like the whole week. I'm like, this Saturday I'm gonna go out knock, and I'm gonna have to go perform and this and that. And then right before I got to like go meet up with them, I like literally was just like, why am I stressing on this? I know what I'm doing. I like sat in my car. They're like looking at me, and I'm just in my car like decompressing, just getting in the mode. And then I walk out. We go out and knock. The first door sold it. The second door said it. I think they closed it because I had to go. But like it was just like I was so in my head that I needed to like get out of my head. And I think that's
you created that situation.
You created it. I created it just doing my own thinking.
Thought about it way too much when you would have just had a habit, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I tell people. The second you think about it, you've already ruined the situation, right? So one thing that I do to create good habits is also make a plan to make easy habits at the same time. Your mind and your body's system, right? It's you got to fine tune everything, right? And some of those harder decisions to create as habits, right? Like going to the gym or knocking doors or whatever it might be for you. Create simple habits you don't have that could be beneficial. Hopefully you brush your teeth every day, but you don't make that a simple habit, right?
Yeah.
Make a simple habit of getting up at a certain time, or just something that's easy to do that will help get yourself into the system. That will make it easier to do some of the other more difficult habits. So if there's something you want to start, create a more simpler situation for different habits that you can kind of mold in the circumstances.
I like that.
Right?
So on that topic, let's say you have a more transient lifestyle, like you're coming back and forth between Utah, you might be traveling to different offices, but you're still going to be top
4
performer.
months off total last year.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you're not, like, it's not like, so the question is, when you're going from back and forth in the zone, out the zone, in the zone, out the zone, like, how do you get your mind back into the zone when you've been almost checked out, or you went on a trip, and then, you know what I mean? Like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, how do you get back cranking again?
Just different goals, just things that I'm motivated about, right? That I don't want to let myself down on, right? I try to create situations, like I said earlier, your thoughts, your minds, your feelings, like everything's physical, right? If you're negative, it physically affects you, right? If you're positive, it physically affects you. And the things that you think about, like, truly can become a reality, right? And the thing is throughout doing door-to-door, right, I've been able to expedite, my income to be able to do a lot of things that are, take a lot of self-discipline and, self-drive to be able to accomplish, right? And what I've done in the circumstances, like, buying real estate, buying properties, it takes a lot of capital to be able to do that. And, I try to make it a reality. So when I have my goals, I don't keep them to myself, okay? Because if I don't hit them, who do I let down?
Yeah.
No one, right? I'm not held accountable, right? So when I have something that I want to do, I've always made a comment to, publicly, not like on Facebook, but I'll tell my mom, I'll tell my dad, family, extended family, brother and sister, coworkers, this is what I'm going to do. So when I don't do it, I have this expectation from everyone else that I'm supposed to, and it puts a little bit more pressure on me, psychologically, I guess, to be able to accomplish it, right? And so when I come back and I'm in Utah and coming back, like you were saying, like, I have situations that are unfinished, right?
Yeah.
I didn't just finish vacation, I just need to get into the routine again. There's something ahead of my, schedule, in a few months that I need to be able to hit. I need to be able to have the income for, to be able to go get that next rental property, or maybe something I want to reward myself with, right? And it's that motivation, right? So I guess being held accountable publicly, I guess, puts, I'm not like pressured to do it, but I kind of feel like everyone's expecting me to do it.
Yeah, you have the standard like set on you because you've already like committed.
Yeah.
And you just hold yourself to a high standard in the first place because it's like your word is your bond in a sense, and it's like when I say it to somebody and I say it to myself, like I'm only like
I better hit it, or
So yeah, what do you? I guess on that though, like. Because I guarantee there's people listening to this that are like, well, I'm like that, and I like, like, what do you?
Well, sometimes people think things are unrealistic.
Yeah.
Right. It's unrealistic to do a lot of things, but people have accomplished it. Right. The Iron Cowboy. Right. Or anything. That stone that's that's changed things. Right. And so as far as do you want to recap that question again?
No, I guess my question would be like, how do you pull yourself out of your own head in the sense of like, I'm not hitting my goals. I'm not, I'm going to do 200 accounts this year, or whatever that it is.
Well,
right?
and then consistency, like I'm always reviewing them.
Okay.
Like, am I on track? Have I saved enough? Have I created enough accounts? How's my pipeline? Is my pipeline going to get me in a situation that I'm going to hit, but I need to hit that quarter? Is it going to create the momentum?
So I'm going to pull up a situation. So I got a message today, and I'm not saying names or anything, but I think he works for Vivint.
I know who it is.
Oh, you do? No. Okay. I don't know. The alarm guy, and he's like, hey, I want to be on stage at Door Con one day. And that was like his goal. He's like, I'm gonna do so much volume that you're gonna hire me to come speak. And I'm like, that's really cool. Yeah. And then I simply asked, I was like, so how many accounts are you sitting at now? And he's like, well, I'm at 16 for the year, a little vibe track. And I was like, I just saw a guy hit 300 today. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you gotta step up.
You gotta step up. Like, those are the guys that
you're making your situation a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, like, Yeah, so I guess my question would be, he's like, but I still got, I'm still going to hit 250 this year, blah, blah, blah. And it goes on. And if you're listening to this, whoever, if you know who you are, I'm not trying to call him out. I'm just trying to say that happens a lot.
He might be complacent.
Yeah,
like the thing is like, hey, I'm going to do it. I know I'm going to do it. But I'm kind of maybe happy where I'm at. Or hopefully he's not happy with 16 accounts, right?
Yeah.
But
you can tell he's not happy.
Yeah.
But it's like, I almost feel like he's living in a different world than reality. I'm like, dude, you're talking about 500 accounts or 250 accounts. You're at 16.
Well, he hasn't gotten in the habit of like doing it, right? It's a decision still. So he's making a decision. Everything in life is a decision, right? So as a result of where he's at now, or whoever it might be, or many people in that same circumstance make the decision to be where they're at, right?
Yeah.
Rather than making it a habit that they're just everything's just automatic where they're going, right? Know where they want to go, create the system, get the vehicle, and just put it on almost autopilot. That's what I would think about.
Yeah, don't think.
Yeah, because the thing is, people are like, how do you like motivate yourself? I'm like, I don't have to motivate myself, right? I mean, that's a part of the equation, but everything else is automatic, And I think a lot of people think things are unrealistic, It was unrealistic to make $100,000. And then when I did it my first summer, I was like, because that's what I was supposed to do, right? I didn't know how much I was going to get paid. They just said 175 accounts, and I didn't hit it, but I was able to make $100,000 with what I did do, right? Where I was like, that was almost unrealistic, and it seemed like my pinnacle that I was going to work on for a few years, and I thought once I hit $100,000, 6 figures, I made it to the top, right? And then it seemed unrealistic to make $300,000. It seemed unrealistic to make $700,000. It seemed unrealistic to make over $1 million or multiple 7 figures. But it's just like, you create systems to make it reality, right? And I think that's what holds people back, because they're like, that would be nice, but I can't do it.
Yes.
Or, you know what I mean? So it's just like, you just have to create systems and do it. Like I have a rep right now who just started, right? He's been creating anywhere from 1 to 3 accounts a day. He's had a higher cancellation rate because he's kind of learning all the different avenues. But he just goes and does it, The reps that aren't creating things aren't working. They're making that decision still at home, whether or not they go out that day.
Yeah, that's what they're dealing with. Do I go out or not? Easy versus obviously I go out.
Yeah, there's people that are way better than me than at door to door. I don't feel like I'm talented. I just work hard.
Yeah, and I think that's something like, a lot of people are like, what's your secret? And I just do what I'm supposed to be doing every day. Where you probably don't have the discipline like I do to do what I'm supposed to be doing every day.
I think people put an identity to results, right? That guy's talented, so that's why he got X, Y, and Z. That guy works hard, so that's why he has just a few things. And it's not about things, but whatever they've accomplished, right? Yep. It's like, no, you just do it.
And I think going back, I haven't launched this podcast, but I was talking to Jake P. and same thing, and it was this interesting conversation around people want to feel comfortable about themselves, so they call other people talented, so that they feel like, well, he's just talented.
They make an excuse.
And it's an excuse so that they can feel this warm and fuzzies inside that they're suck. It's like
they're not where they want to be, right? Lighten the blow a little bit.
Lighten the blow, yeah.
For example,
he's just naturally gifted.
Well, I kind of do that. And for example, Dave Matson, right? He's the go to the industry as far as solar. He's done amazing, right?
Dave, you're listening to this. You're on next.
You're on next, right? Sorry to throw you under the bus.
Yeah,
so,
he's good.
But I kind of I think he did 100 in a quarter or more or something like that. It's just that's Dave Matson. I tell myself that. Yeah. It's just why can't I go do that, right? Or he's a more talented, sales rep. Right?
He's better,
very charismatic. He's better looking or whatever, right? And it's just I tell myself the same thing sometimes. That's just that's him, right? Just like you were saying. It's just but the thing is, I hear people say about you're Bryce Jones. I'm like, what? I'm just a normal person. I'm Bryce Jones. There's nothing special. I just go work. I just put time in, right? Yeah. But it's been a fun adventure doing what I've been doing, and it doesn't take everything and things that you don't have to be able to accomplish the same things.
Love that. Okay, so we're going to transition to new thread, area management, and that was kind of the second thread we wanted to jam on. So in solar, you've been in Fresno for how many years now?
For the most part, been in Fresno, managed a couple of other offices to help out, meeting time, based on circumstances, came back. But virtually been in Fresno for 5 years, as of last week.
And you haven't sold anyone or knocked all the doors?
No.
No, really? I say that. but with actual like thought, because a lot of people are like, I can't stay here. Like I gotta be moving. Like they've seen me. It's all been knocked. It's all whatever. And I'm sure you've heard that. But like 5 years, same market, still cranking out hundreds of deals. Like, tell us kind of your secret on how you manage your area, your thoughts behind it, your philosophy of like why it's so important to manage the area.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I've gotten comments from people like, "Oh, you must be getting mad referrals, right?" So
I didn't say that. Like, guilty.
They're like, "Yeah, you must be getting mad referrals. You probably don't knock doors anymore." They're like, "How many accounts do you have?" "No, it's over 700." Well, you probably get referrals left and right. Like, I could probably work the systems better. Right, there's vehicles to do that, right? Force Flush, I manage with him, and he does that actually really well. But I mean, I don't mind knocking doors. I mean, I know that sounds odd, but I actually knock.
He got dropped on the head as a kid too.
Yeah, exactly. Right? I don't mind knocking doors because Brent, when you first get into an area, you don't have that momentum. You're not a solar guy there. You're not like. Because, when people see you there for a while, you can go back to people that told you no. Okay, this guy's actually doing something legit. Because most people have that instinct of like, just a fly by night, you're not going to be here tomorrow. But then after I'm there in an area for over a year, or 2 years, within a couple of blocks, okay, this guy, one knows what he's doing, everyone's doing it. And it's created a situation where I think it's better than referrals, right? Because referrals only come in every now and then. It's kind of like you deal with a shopper too. You don't really control the situation going into it. And I would rather go into an area that has 100 homes, 200 homes, 300 homes, 50 homes, however big your area is, have those all be warm leads that you don't have to pay for.
So this is a phenomenon. I want everybody to learn with area.
Yeah.
How do you create? Because we live in the question is, it's cold calling, right? Knocking doors is a cold call. But you just said, no, it's a warm lead I've created because of the situation.
Yeah, you create the circumstance to where it is you're saying, like a warm lead. It's not so much a cold call anymore because I know the neighborhood's better than people living there. I find that to be the case a lot, where I'm like, so-and-so, or so-and-so, or the guy next door, after I've been there for a little while, and they're like, I'm like, I know the neighborhood better than you, right?
So instantly you become the expert of their area, and it instantly creates a need for them to listen to you.
People don't care what I say, but people do care what the neighbors. Everyone cares about everyone else's opinion but yourself, right? And so when you do first start, you do have that, that hump that you need to get over, right? But yeah, once you've been in an area for a long time, and that's why your manager always tells you, like, stay in the area, right? Because I remember going through an area, feeling like I was still struggling, going through that transition, and I started a new area, and I was like, oh, this is kind of tough.
Oh, I hate it. I hate it.
Yeah, I got to start all over again, and so when this is how I do it, right? So when I was alarmed, just blitz the hell out of it, right? But with solar, I learned it was a complete opposite, right? Someone's opinion that may misunderstand the process early on, might not be installed yet, is going to talk to the neighbor and ruin it, right? Sometimes, right? There's been times where I've been lucky and sold a bunch of people, where that's kind of against my rule of thumb. Like, once I sell one on a street, depending on how big the street is, it's probably 1 to 2, and I just leave it alone. Yeah, it's called pepper.
Okay.
Pepper the area, let it grow, okay? Because once it's installed, they're not canceling, right? They fully are aware of like how it works, they like it, they're happy, right? But then you have way more leverage to go to the customer, potential customer next door. Say, I don't know if you saw those panels. Do you see that yard sign or the tech running back and forth?
Sitting on that roof.
Panel sitting on the roof. It's a physical. It's a real thing. It's a reality. And again, I'm going back to people that told me no. So maybe I didn't get the first door, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I had a few people tell me, give me a hard no, right? Then I go back and I think I caught you up and around time. But I don't know if you noticed what we did over at the Johnsons, right? Or when I install the Johnsons, I ask them if they know the people that have told me no. Right?
Yeah.
Do you know them? Do you know the circumstance? Or you're actually best friends? Or
yes.
whatever, right? So go in, and then I wait until that's installed, right?
And then I kind of move to a different street and do the same
move to a different street and come back,
yeah.
right? And so I have streets where I've set up every single home.
Wow.
I mean, not massive streets, but like
yeah.
there's like 10, 12 homes. Every single house has it, other than the 2 rentals, right?
Yeah.
And then like the last house on that street, guess what? It is the hottest lead.
Yeah, you're sitting there like,
He's
I never talked to him.
not cold calling.
Yeah, you call him on the phone.
Yeah.
That's a cold call, I think, because you don't understand their current situation there, because you're not physically like every single person.
Study the area, know what you've done, know names, name drop,
Yeah.
And yeah, like you'll create a way better situation. We're not trying to dog referrals, right? They're great. Leads are great. People buy leads, right? But knocking doors is you're gonna create a situation that you have way more control of.
Yeah, hold that thought real quick. I gotta reset this real fast, but I have a good seconds left. Okay, so basically, it's funny you say that. So I would get a lot of referrals. I'm naturally charismatic with the people, and I'd always ask for referrals. Like I loved it. But I remember the year I did the most was, and this is alarms. I can talk solar too. But even solar, I have a list. Like I probably still have 50, 60 referrals I never even called. And I felt bad, but I had created a situation where it was worth more of my time. Mm-hmm. And people are going to hate me for saying this, but it was worth, because of my situation I created where that door was warmer, next door, 3 houses away. I chase a referral that I have to sit there and try to set up an appointment with, and have to deal with driving 20 minutes that way.
It might be a layout.
It could be. And
you just took your entire day trying to, I get this anxiety, like I'll call referrals in the morning.
Yeah.
I might swing by, see if they're home, but that's the most amount of time I'll put into it. I actually have structured a system now where I'll pay pretty handsomely on referrals. I'm like, you set the appointment, I'm going to go knock. But if you set it, like if I swing by and I drop your name, I'll pay a little bit, right? You get something kind of no matter what, right? Because they're going to help create a better situation, right?
Yeah.
When they know. But like if you set the appointment, I'll pay X amount of dollars, and they're driven a little bit more, and they're working for me. And I'm creating double business, right?
Yes.
When I'm doing a referral, I'm not going to it at 2 o'clock. It's knocking time. I'm doing it later on in the day, right? I'm doing it in the morning, right? That's why I've worked so many hours throughout the week, but it's created good business, But yeah, I get like an anxiety trying to chase them, right? I'm sure I could just get those really easy deals, and maybe it does the same volume, I don't know, but anxiety's there. I'm just like, I'll just go knock that door, they're home.
Yeah, I'm there, I can sell them, I know I'm sharp.
If I don't do that when there's 12 others here in the next 5 seconds that I can go walk to.
Yes,
right?
I'm much like that. There may be a few people listening to this that are like, whoa, that is completely against what I believe, and that's okay.
It's fine, everyone has
their system. And you mentioned that, your manager, your co-manager, whatever, you said he had a really good system around referrals, and that he does that miraculously. Do you know some of the stuff that he's doing?
Yeah.
To speak to those that are
I'm like dogging referrals right now, but I've come up with a little bit of a system that I'll share with you.
Yeah, that's what
I do to actually coincide and be congruent with my knocking.
That's what I was going to say.
So one thing that he does is, as soon as he closes it, he's like, let's pull out your phone, let's go through them. And he literally has them call right there, sets an appointment with them for that week.
We call that leapfrogging.
Yeah.
So you leapfrog, you make your customer set your next appointment. So then you're literally leapfrogging.
Yeah. So he does really well with that. I kind of get scared, to be honest. I'm like, what if they're like, no, you should talk to my solar guy?
Yeah.
Or I'm already looking into it. And he's like, dogs what I'm doing, or takes some second guess. And all of a sudden I kind of lose control, right?
Yeah.
I like to stay in control. So that's what he does. One thing that I've been doing new that I've actually loved, I didn't get it from anyone, it's just one of those ideas that popped up and it's worked really well, is on Google Maps. I may be explaining this wrong, but you can pin things and save them certain colors for certain things. You can label them, and it's going to always show up on your map. Do you want me to?
I want to see this. Yeah.
So this is actually really cool. I'm sure you
I have Google Maps, so I'm going to play with this for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I literally spent 30 minutes and put a pin
on every referral.
Every single customer that I've installed.
Oh, customer that you've installed.
Yeah. And then customer I created. So as soon as I created, I put a green flag. And I install and it pops up as
Isn't this ad in the same place?
Save. It was
save. Okay.
And put a heart, that's your customer right there. and they'll always pull up on your maps, okay? And you can hide them, and you can have them show up.
Oh, so that I will always forever have that little heart.
Yeah, right? And
That's awesome.
And then if you put another pin, this is red, but it's whatever. There's one where you can label, and this is where I put referrals, the blue flags. I'll put, Johnson referral or Gloria, Stevenson, right?
So
referral.
you're in that area.
And then I have doors. I don't know what all the other companies have, so I already have their names. So you can only write so much information. So let me show you this real quick. I'll show you my area.
I love this.
So this is my area right here. Okay.
Oh wow, that is so cool. So those that are listening, I'm looking at his phone, and he has literally hundreds of these little hearts and flags. Green flags, blue flags, and pink hearts.
Yeah.
Okay.
So sometimes I'll let's say I have a customer that's a little shaky, right? Okay. I'll be like, hey, do you know the area pretty well? Do you want to look on my phone? Is there a friend that you know that lives in this neighborhood? Oh really?
And this neighborhood where you have 50 hearts?
I'm like, right here.
Next to every single.
And it's kind of weird. I remember everyone's name,
Yeah. And that's a good tip. Get good at remembering names. That was one thing I was really good at. It's
I had to train myself to do that.
Yes.
And
great sales.
Have a name that everyone knows that person, love them or hate them, they know them.
Yeah.
And at least someone respectable that's not the town idiot, or whatever. So anyways, so I'll zoom in, and a lot of times they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm like, yeah, those panels, yeah, those are all mine. I did all those. I take a lot of ownership, right? And they're like, oh yeah, that's Joanne's house. Yeah, Joanne. It's cool. I'll pull up her account, pull up her cat, make it a reality for them.
Yeah, it's I'm not just BSing this.
Yeah, I'm the expert.
Yeah.
If there's going to be anyone you talk about solar, it's going to be me because I do more than everyone else. Right?
Yes.
And the other thing too is once you're there for a while, you kind of scare all the other door-to-door guys out. So so anyways, now I've got the green flags. And you can do whatever color you want. These are hey, when I'm knocking this area, I know hey, how many doors I'm probably going to have to knock before I have to switch to another street. How busy I can be. But I could be oh yeah, there's that one house that was just a good lead, and they probably just needed to have you come back and talk about how the utility rates have gone up again. And that would put them over the edge and where that person wanted a battery, now we do batteries, or just something meant to know what they wanted and why they didn't do it.
Yeah. And
maybe the circumstances have changed in 6 months. But when I'm knocking in that area, I'm I'm going to swing by that green flag that's just popping up and telling me go here, or try to find these ones home first.
So but you use a street genius, what do they call it? A Spadio or a sales driver type.
Yeah, so we've got doors with Vivint. Yes. So when I get the referrals, right? So when I sell someone, this is what's been really good with referrals. I say, hey, I'm going to have you put some flags, on the maps, and you don't have to do anything. You're just going to know that I'm going to reference you at some point. Yeah. Because I'm going to talk to them, and I'm probably going to sell them, but I'd rather you get credit. So I kind of do that carefulness, right? Yeah. And go through the map, and rather than getting one referral, I've been getting 6.
That's awesome.
And this is how I tie it into knocking them, okay? Because when I'm hey,
you have done drop flags.
I have done drop flags.
That's awesome.
And they're just cha-ching.
Yeah, they're this house.
And I say, hey, if you just use it as a reference, I pay $250. Right? If you set the appointment though, and I encourage it with people that know really well, I'll say I'll pay $1,000.
That's awesome.
But I'm not I get that appointment, that's all I do. I know I'm going to spend a little bit more for that one, so I need a knock as well, right? Yeah. So I'll put the flags down, and I'd rather, so let's look. Oh, blue flag right there. So there's a crap ton of installs right here, the blue flag. Yeah. And it says what family referral. And then all the doors has their names and who I'm looking for. Yep. And I've got all the installs. I'm hey, that'd be a good area to knock because there's a lot of momentum I can do. And there's a extra warm. Yeah. They only see the install trucks. They know someone that I've worked with. Yes. And then let's just say I'm going to knock in a different.
Then might as well go to the green flags.
Oh, I don't have a ton of installs here. So check this out. So there's no installs. Oh, you see these here. Yeah. There was nothing here at all. I had just a referral.
Random referral.
Went over there to knock this area, tried the referral first, right? And kind of always kept an eye on that work. Yeah. Because I work at home. And she was busy, still haven't sold her. But, I went into the area now, so those two. So when I go back to this one, all over they refer, they'll have seen some installs now too.
Yeah, and you're peppering. You're kind of like, I'm going to let it sit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm not touching this area right now.
Yeah, because you're waiting for those to install. That is so cool. I love this. This is a
I feel like I'm pretty creative with whatever processes that I end up doing, saying, using, slides, presentations, right? I'm very meticulous on how I go over things. I hate being rejected.
Yeah.
Obviously everyone gets, right? But I try to have a system to just minimize that as much as possible. So, but yeah, I knock a lot of doors. And my referrals, I put around my knocking, like, oh, there's a referral here. I will knock that neighborhood and be busy there the entire day. And once they get home, I'll go over it. It's a warmer lead, and I'll sell it with the other houses I sell.
That's awesome. That is so cool. Well, we kind of got to wrap up. Dude, I love this. This last little part was like such a brainstorming creative. I mean, my mind's like, oh, what if you added this and tried it?
It all started when I was on my naps and I can't remember what happened by accident. I clicked something else instead of what I wanted to click, and it dropped a flag, so I edited it.
Why did I do this? Yeah. And I think, and it's just simple. You don't need a Spotify or whatever in order to do that, which is Google Maps. That's so cool. I love it. So, let's wrap up. I always ask this last question, and I want to appreciate you and just your greatness. You know what I mean? The fact that you Golden Door winner, you've been a leader and stalwart and just in your field. You know what I mean? I love talking and jamming with different people that inspire others to do better. You know what I mean? And we've obviously had a past and history and talked on real estate and other things. And we could go on and on about it. I mean, you're just talking about Airbnb, and I'm like, shoot, let's get into some Airbnb. But no, so honestly, appreciate your friendship.
Yeah.
But if you could give the door-to-door industry one last piece of advice.
Put them in the spot.
Yeah, I know.
I gave some advice.
I know. This has all been nuggets.
I only had 4 ideas, and that's what they run on.
It's like, okay, let's just finish. No, but if you could give and I could either pick, you could pick first year rep or manager, because they're kind of two different pieces of advice.
I would say first year rep. Okay, so, I don't want to think of myself as an anomaly. Like I said, I just decided to make systems to have it happen, right? But understand that, kind of relate it to this guy's taller than you. This, that's why he's good at basketball. He's just talented or whatever. It's just like if you have a good work ethic, like I said, Vince, right? It's going to be a good seller, right? Is he your Dave Matson? Is he your, I don't know, right? But again, you don't want to have an identity to certain people. It's like identity politics, right? It's like, oh, they're Republican because what I can tell, they're a Democrat.
Yeah.
Just, get a good work ethic. Make a habit of it. Don't make a decision. But do understand, hey, one rep might click a little bit sooner, right? One rep might click a little bit later, right? But stick with it, right? And if it's not clicking, not to put any blame on yourself, but you're either not working.
Yeah, and I think it's
if we all go to the gym. Let's just say we're all going to go to the gym. We're all going to have results, right? As long as we hold each other accountable, we're there every single day, we're all going to get buff, right? We're all going to get more fit. We're all going to get more healthy, right? It's because it's behind closed doors. No one sees me right now. I'm going to play Xbox, or I'm going to hang out, do this, right? And if you want to have time for that, how I said I took 3 months off last year. I mean, it wasn't all at once, but I had more installs than most everyone in the industry. But I probably took way more time off. Those little extra days that you're taking time off on the weekends and this, that, the other, having short days, you're going to be able to do way more, right? Just having that consistency, get better, have better systems, and have more time off as well.
It's the discipline creates freedom. Yeah, and I think that's such an important thing. It's the work ethic. It's like, well, I don't want a job where I have to really work hard. It's like, no, you want a job where you have to work hard because then you can reward yourself or you can play hard. Mm-hmm. And it's those people that don't put the two together. They're like, well, I just want something a little more easy and it's not stressful. I'm like, no, you grind because that's when you can take the 3 months off. It's you know how to grind when you're grinding and play when you're playing. And I think that's so important.
Yeah, but the thing is just stick with it. I know it sounds super generic and basic, but You know, you'll get to a point, as long as you keep the consistency.
Yep.
If you don't, and you recognize that, then you're bound to that. You know? So, but yeah, thanks for hanging out.
No, this has been fun. I know. I almost want to like do a Facebook.
Can I do like a little shout out for my builder?
A little shout out for shout out for my builder.
So one thing that's cool about this place is 8,000 square feet, like I said, in 100 days. That's what we did.
It's impressive.
So suited homes, gotta throw them out a little bit.
Suited homes. Hashtag Colby.
Yeah, right.
So awesome job.
Yeah, no, you did a wonderful job. But yeah, again, thanks for having me out here. But obviously, I have to do a little bit of a shout out.
No, it's awesome. I love it. We've got signs everywhere. Hashtag suited homes. We'll have the next 4 over too.
Right.
So, Ken, well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.